What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here at GSD Mode Studios with another weekly video real estate tip. And today, guys, I'm here to talk to you about effective mega open houses and my 6-step process to go out there and have an extremely effective open house where you crush it with open houses inside your business. And if you're not familiar with me and who I am and how open houses have helped me grow my real estate business, open houses were the first thing that I started doing in my real estate business 14 years ago, right? So when I first got started, it was the first thing that I started doing, and it's been the one core pillar that hasn't changed over the years. It's like been the one consistent thing. And what I mean by that is, look, like online marketing has changed a lot. Started off, let's just say, 8 years ago where I'm doing a lot of Trulia, Zillow, realtor.com. When they switched on how they charged us, they used to charge us based on clicks, not impressions. When they switched that, my cost per lead went from like $17 to $45 or whatever. I then transitioned that to pay-per-click, Google pay-per-click. Then when Facebook disrupted that, right, now I'm heavy in Facebook paid ads, right? So there's been a lot of changes with different things in my marketing and lead generation strategies. However, open houses have been the one remaining consistent thing that I've always done and my team's always done. And you guys, over my 14 plus year career now and becoming one of the top real estate agents on the planet, my team has sold over 5,000 homes or close to 6,000 home sales, or might even have exceeded that by this point. And open houses is our number one source of business. For new business, this is 48% of our sales. So that's hundreds of homes every single year that we sell through open houses. And one of the biggest myths out there is, I hear from real estate agents all the time. Well, a few of them. Oh, open houses don't work. They absolutely work. I'm proof of that. Most top producing agents, team leaders that I know incorporate open houses very, very heavily. Look at Bob Lucido, the number one real estate agent, team leader on the planet. This dude absolutely crushes it. And he still personally is doing 40 plus open houses every single year, right? So number one, when people say open houses don't work, no, they absolutely work. That person is just shitty at working them. So don't buy into that BS and don't buy into that noise. The other thing I constantly hear about why people don't want to do open houses or don't do open houses is, that's how I get buyers. I want to go after sellers, right? So they think they want to go out there and call expireds or do whatever for sellers. But when we break this down statistically and just look at the facts, according to NAR, you've got 6% of home buyers when they're interviewed every single year, though the consumer, right? 6% of home buyers said that they found and chose their realtor that they met at an open house. But then you got 4% of home sellers. So if we look at all phone prospecting combined, right? So like circle prospecting, calling FSBOs, calling expireds, all of those combined is home sellers with all those get kind of chunked into one category in NAR's research. And you got 6% of home sellers choosing their real estate agent out of all of those combined, right? So let's just say those are evened out. So it's like 2% off circle prospecting, 2% off expires, 2% off for sell by owners, right? So then if we look at that, open houses for home sellers finding and choosing their agent, deciding who they're going with is twice as effective as going after expireds, going after FSBOs, going after circle prospecting. You might think, oh, dude, open houses are a lot of work. Yeah, they are, right? Especially the 6-step process I'm going to go through with you today. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of setup. It's a lot of whatever. However, dude, so is sitting behind a freaking phone doing this all damn day, which if you're anything like me, like this is the last thing I want to do all day long, right? Getting people to tell me to fuck off. When I'm doing an open house, I have people, areas that I want to work, price points I want to work in, right? Selling and working with clients that are buying the homes and selling homes in the areas that I want. Like I get to pick and choose where I'm going to do business, price point I'm going to do business, where I can pick and choose then the commissions I'm getting paid, if you will. And I have people coming to me. Like that's how I want to do business. I want to attract business. All right, guys, so I'm going to break this down, what I do, what my team does, and this has evolved over the years. This is something that we're always refining. And look, you guys, when we've even had to scale back on some of the strategies that we used to implement because we get too many people through an open house. There is such a thing as getting too many people through. Let's just say you got a 2,500 square foot house and you're doing an open house for 4 hours and you get 150 people through there. Like that's just too many people. Yeah, right? At least for me when I'm doing them. Like I love to have about 30 leads per open house, which a lead, it might be a family of 4. right? So, but it is easy to go out there and get 40, 50, 60, 75 or so people through an open house. Those are bodies, not leads. Like I said earlier, a family of 4 is just one lead, right? So you got bodies and then you've got leads, which I want the leads, right? So like my perfect flow is a 30 leads per open house. And look, dude, there's times where I get donuts, that happens, right? And then there's times where I get 70 or 80, leads at an open house. So it's not like we don't win every single time. But as long as you're winning more than you're losing, you're going to crush it. Now, real quick, though, before I break down these 6 steps for you, we're going to go deep into these. So make sure you have pen and paper ready because I want to walk through these. I'm going to go into detail on these. It's going to be a longer video, which if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever, you're already seeing the time length on this because I want to break this all out where you fully understand it. Of course, if you have any comments or questions on this, if you're watching on YouTube, just put your comment in there, and more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have on this. I check those comments every single day, at least Monday through Friday, so I'm more than happy to comment and help with any questions that you have. But if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. It's what helps us grow this channel. Hit that subscribe button and then hit that bell right next to it that pops up when you subscribe. That will also ensure that every time I upload one of these new videos that you get alerted so you don't miss this great content. If you're listening to this on anywhere audio that we're at, wherever you're listening, make sure to give us a 5-star raving review. By doing this, you guys, this is how you help me grow the show, right? The more subscribers, the more 5-star raving reviews that we have, the more we get pushed out there, the more downloads we get, which allow us to create more content, get more powerful guests on our interviews, all that fun stuff. So do that. I know it's a huge ask. I know you're busy, but I greatly appreciate that if you do that for me. All right, so now let's break down these 6 steps. I'm going to chunk these down. I've got my cheat sheet here that I'm going to reference just to make sure I don't miss anything. All right, so the first thing is to identify your geographical farm area. So a lot of real estate agents confuse like a question I get all the time is, well, Josh, hey, I want to start geographical farming. What mailing schedule should I start pushing out? Right? Because as you may know, if you've been following me for a long time or watching a lot of these training videos for a long time, I used to be very involved in direct mail, meaning up to 50,000 homes that I was hitting every 21 days through my direct mail campaigns, right? I don't do it any longer today because I've just found way more effective ways to grow my business. Is also a hell of a lot cheaper and less work with that. But a lot of agents confuse geographical farming with direct mail, right? It has nothing to do with each other. When I say it has nothing to do with each other, direct mail is just one marketing method to be effective at capturing market share in your geofarm area. Really, at the end of the day, as real estate agents, everything is about growing market share in your geographical farm. Right? Your geographical farm is just what is the area that you want to work. Like, where do you want to work? Where do you want to gain market share? If we look at a farm, why is that word farming always used? Right? Well, it's because, dude, like you're prepping the soil, then you're planting the seed, then you're fertilizing it, then you're watering it, and you're doing all this work, right? And then boom, you sprout some, crop or whatever the hell farming terms are. So I've never farmed. So, but that's the same thing. Like we got to work it, we got to nurture it, and eventually, if we do it right, the fruits of our labors repay us back and deliver a huge ROI. So how do you identify your geofarm area? And this is something you guys need to be really strategic within your business. This is so important because this also applies not to just open houses. This applies if you're doing online advertising, if you're doing direct mail, if you're hitting expired, circle pro, like doesn't matter what the fuck you're doing. If you are trying to grow your real estate business, like this is extremely important for you to understand and know. And this is something, this has been one of the keys to my success and my growth. And I was really lucky to be in a different industry before I got into real estate. The industry I was in before I got into real estate was the health club industry. Now, the health club industry, everything is predicated, your success. I don't want to say, there's other things that you have to do to become successful. But if you get this one thing wrong, you are not going to succeed, no matter what, right? Which is where you plop your damn location, right? That's your storefront, and you got to know where to plop your location. So we would look at, okay, hey, well, what is our ideal client? Let's just say it's married women, average age 45 years old, average household income of 100,000 plus, with college degrees. Like we want our 1 mile radius of our location to be the highest density of our ideal client. then we have our 1 mile, then you have the 2 mile, right? So you're paying attention, the 1 mile is most important, but you're also paying attention to that 2 mile radius, which is also important with that ideal client, but not as important as the 1, right? So we're looking at all of that because of drive times that people will drive to a facility. And all this will make more sense when I tie all this together, right? But in that 3 mile range, though, is we're looking at our competition, right? So that 3 mile range, like we want to make sure in our 3 mile radius, we didn't have any direct competitors that we didn't have some sort of a unique advantage on, right? There could be other health clubs or other gyms, but maybe a different style. We may have been a boutique where they were a big box, right? Or whatever. So all those things became really important. So luckily, by being in that industry, I knew the importance of identifying your ideal client and looking at your areas. So when I first got licensed here in Phoenix, Arizona in 2005, I started looking at the whole metro area. And I'm like, all right, where can I succeed at the fastest level? Like, where can I go get market share? I just moved here from 2,000 miles away from Michigan to Phoenix. I didn't know anybody, right? So I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody. They don't know me, right? Where can I grow the most market share? And the quickest with the least amount of resistance. So I started focusing on all the outside suburb areas that had a lot of growth, that builders were building, people were moving to, is more affordable. These are kind of like the rooftop communities where people from there, commuting downtown, whatever, for the jobs, right? But they were the unsexy areas, right? But I had no competition essentially, right? So I just started pickpocketing all these outside areas that were 45 minutes away from downtown that nobody wanted to go to. And it started with 1 and then built it up to a 2. And now today we have really 12 main cities that we really focus on in Phoenix Metro, but they're all on the outer side where the sexy stuff to work, but also the higher price points, the super sexy stuff, but the extremely saturated markets where everybody flocks to is areas in Central Phoenix, right? Or I don't know if it's classified as Central Phoenix, but you look at like the Biltmore area, Arcadia area, Scottsdale, right? Those are the sexy, fun places to work, the higher end properties, but also there's so much damn competition. I've got so many competitors where it's like, look, I'm willing to drive 30 or 45 minutes. I don't care. Like I'm willing to go to the non-sexy places, but there's homes being built. There's people buying there at record rates, right? The growth is insane, but a lot of agents, because ego or laziness or whatever, they're not willing to go out there and hit these areas, right? So you want to get very clear on your geofarm area. So the number 1 is identify your ideal client, who your ideal client is, and where they are living and where they are moving to. Like my geofarm needs to be where my ideal client lives at and is going, right? So my ideal client has always been and still is today in my real estate business is 28 to 42-year-old married couples with young kids at home. So most of them are still like elementary age, junior high age. So young kids at home buying in the suburbs that are in the $250,000 to $400,000 price point. These are second or third time move up buyers, so they're not first time home buyers, right? In that price point and size that we're looking at. And they're buying single family attached properties. So when I got clear on that, then I was like, okay, hey, well, what cities, what zip codes are they moving to, right, in these suburbs? All right. So then from there, though, how I would identify the actual, because okay, hey, like I'm going to work and I want to get market share in Surprise, Arizona. Well, 140,000 people in Surprise, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona. So you start looking at that, and it's like, okay, well, dude, there's a ton of subdivisions, ton of zip code, multiple zip codes. I'm not looking to attack all of it. So I start breaking down, okay, well, then what are the subdivisions? What are the neighborhoods, right? So then as I start looking at the neighborhoods, I'm looking at what is the turnover rate for the neighborhood. So I want to see, in my price point, I want to see a 10% yearly turnover rate, which would mean if you look at all the rooftops, all the homes in that community, in that neighborhood, or subdivision, however you classify in your area, let's just say there's 1,000 homes. Right? Well, then I want to see at least 100 home sales in the last 12 months, right? That shows me enough people are moving and selling in that subdivision where there's enough turnover, right, where I can do some business. I mean, if you have really low turnover and there's just not a lot of home sales happening, right? There's just, even if the commission checks are big, if you're not able to pop a decent amount of those, it just may not make it worthwhile. At least it doesn't make it worthwhile for me. I like to play the volume game, right? So I look at, okay, again, my ideal client is moving there and lives there. Looking at turnover rate, which in my price point, the higher price point, the lower the turnover rate in most cases. But I like 10% or more as far as the turnover rate. Then I'm looking at agent market share. And this is the other important factor. So all three of these really have to come together, right? So what I mean by agent market shares, I don't want to see any agent that has over 20% or more market share in that area. Now, if it's one agent that has 20%, now I'm not talking a brokerage, I'm talking an agent, like one person that is dominating this geofarm area and is a player in this area, like that go-to agent. You drive through there, you see them, you see a ton of their signs, they have a ton of the sales, right? Now, if it's one agent that has 20% market share, okay, that's not bad, right? There's 80% available, and the other 80% is people just doing onesies and twosies, right? But here's an example. There's a subdivision here, not too far from my office, about a 15-minute commute from here, called Vistancia. And there are 4 agents that I know, that I'm friends with, that I know in the industry, that just dominate that. Like each of them have, let's just say, 15% or more of market share in that area. And they've been working it for years and years and years and years. So between those 4 people, right, they have 60% market share. And I haven't reviewed the numbers. So if you're a local agent and trying to call me out, here, like I haven't reviewed them in a lot of years. This is just when I was looking at it. But anyway, regardless, right, that would mean that there's only roughly like 40% of market share to be had in that area. Not to say, I'm not trying to plant limiting beliefs that you can't gain market share in that area, but it's going to create a lot of resistance. It's going to cost me a ton more time, energy, and focus and money than it would if I were to slide down the street half a mile to an area where that doesn't have that market share. Right? So often, dude, it becomes fucking ego, right? Oh, I want to be known in this subdivision because it's a prestige subdivision. Yeah, right? Or, it's a subdivision I live in. Who gives a shit? That doesn't matter, right? Like, think about it this way, dude. If I were going to go open a coffee shop, or let's just say you were going to go open a coffee shop, and it was going to be like a Starbucks, like a higher end coffee shop, and your average out of everything on the menu, let's just say the average a cup of coffee or whatever they were getting is $4. Well, you got to make sure where you pick your location is in an area with people that are willing to pay $4 for that cup of coffee, right? You don't pick it because, dude, I just love this building down here. It's down the street from my house. It's close to me. It's convenient for me, and I just love it. It's just so pretty, and I just love it. Right? That's fucking stupid ass business, right? You're gonna fail doing that, right? Like you can find out that people in that area are only going to pay $1 for a cup of coffee, not $4, right? The best place to open your coffee shop is where the people are that want that, where the demand is for that coffee, right? But then also you got to look at, make sure that you don't have, if you got a coffee shop every, 5th storefront, and there's just so much competition, that's going to be tough too, right? So if we look at this out, if we take our real estate hats off and look at other industries of this makes sense. But sometimes we don't use logic and common sense as we're growing our own business, right? It's common to think our industry is different or what we do is different, which isn't the case. Business is business, right? So I'm looking at those things. That's going to help me identify the neighborhoods that I want to start attacking and working in the area. All right, so that's step number one. Now, step number 2 is then from there, when I'm getting ready to do my open house, right? Now we're getting, okay, now that we've got the area, now it's like, okay, hey, let's start doing open houses. So each week, and I always plan out my open houses at least 1 week in advance, like 7 to 10 days in advance. So I always know when it's going to be. A question I always get to on this is, what's the best day and time to do an open house, right? And my response to this is always, it's whatever the best day and time is in your area. Yeah, and you got to track this. Every area, you guys look, there's some things about real estate. There's the kind of the foundations when it comes to marketing and building the business, and there's some things that it doesn't matter where you're at, anywhere on the planet. If you're selling real estate, that are just apply to everybody, right? But then there's also some things that are very hyper local, which mean that it's different in my area versus your area and vice versa. And this is one of those things. Right? So that would be like local laws and popular different features. Like here in Arizona, everybody wants a home with a pool. Where I lived before I moved to Arizona in Michigan, it's kind of a pain in the ass to have a pool because it snows half the year, right? You got to winterize it, and you can only really use your pool 2 or 3 months out of the year if you're lucky, right? So there, it's kind of more a pain in the ass. Like people may not want a pool like they would here. So all that, hopefully that makes sense. But also, what are popular days and times here may not be popular days and times in your area. Like I've got a buddy of mine in a different state that his best time for open houses is Sunday 1 to 5. My best time, historically, as I'm tracking this, is Saturday from 11 to 3. Right? That's just where I get the most traffic through. So you just start doing open houses, you start testing different days, different times, tracking the traffic, right? Like my front end tracking when I'm doing my open houses is always, okay, what was the address? What was the neighborhood? How many turns in from the main street to the open house? How many signs was I able to put out? What was the day and time of the open house? And not just the date, but like I want to know, is it Saturday, Sunday, whatever. You know, when I first started doing open houses, I do them all day, like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., whatever, all day long just to see when that biggest gap of traffic is, because I knew eventually I'd get busy where I could only do one open house a week and in a 4-hour window. Like I knew that time was going to come, right? So I wanted to make sure it was the best day of the week and the best time frame. So just track that and get to know that in your area. All right, so then from there, so we got to, when we're identifying the right house, we want to get something that's in demand. So I want to make sure that like the popular features is what people that are buying in the area really want. So I always look at this like, dude, what's the listing that if you get, you're like doing freaking cartwheels, because if you list it on a Thursday, by Monday you're gonna have multiple offers and that thing's popping. Like it's in the price point that people want to be in, and it's got all the features that everybody wants, that's hot right now, that everyone's going. So I'm looking at, with, okay, what's the price point, right? So in my area, just an example, I gotta say Surprise, Arizona. So if I can get a 2,500 square foot house, let's just say, roughly in that range, give or take a couple hundred square feet, with a pool, under $300,000, boom, right? And I know the specific subdivisions, like there's the hot spots. Like we all know the hot spots, right? So I want to make sure that it is in demand. The other things that I like, I'm always looking for strategy. Like how can I, and with this being said, let me just kind of put some reference to this. 90% of the traffic I get through my open houses come from seeing the signs. They say that's how they heard about the open house, was they saw the signs. It wasn't on Zillow. It wasn't, an ad they saw on Facebook. It wasn't any of that, right? The vast majority, it's the signs. Well, if I can be right off of a busy street, let's just say it's, it doesn't have to be like on the busy street, but let's just say it's close enough where I can get a lot of signage on that busy street. And let's just say the main street corner has 10,000 people traveling a day, or that's probably a huge exaggeration. Let's just say it's 1,000 people a day driving through that intersection versus 100 people a day. Well, I've got 10 times the eyeballs on my signs. If 90% of the people that come through open house come through from senior signs, right? Like you're just going to get more traffic. So I want to be as close as I can, like a half mile from a busy intersection, so I can get the signs there. Then from there, I also like to be within a half mile from a grocery store or a new build development. And why those two things, right? Well, think about grocery stores. Like when do you go grocery shop? Grocery stores spend an insane amount of money to run ads and all different platforms, run specials to drive. Everybody goes to them on the weekends in the most cases, right? That's when they're the busiest, right? So I want to piggyback off of all their marketing and traffic. Now, I'm not fucking putting flyers out at grocery stores, right? But I make sure that they can see my signs. Now, they're going to the grocery store, right? So they're probably not going to come from the grocery store to my open house. Sometimes it happens, but they might have ice cream in the trunk and can't stop because that's going to melt, right? But you got to understand the long-lasting compounding power and impact of doing regular open houses. This is also why you want to get very clear in your area, because I'm not going to do open houses scattered all over the place. I'm going to have one area that I'm working, and I'm going to do consistent open houses there every single weekend. So people in the area that I want to work, in the best area that I can identify, are seeing my signs, my name, my face, everything, every single weekend over and over and over. And then during the week, I'm going to be peppering them with Facebook ads, right? All the rest of their life, and Instagram ads and whatever else, right? So I like to piggyback off of that. Then with new builds, why a new build? Right? Well, the same thing. New builds spend insane amounts of money on newspaper ads, radio, TV, right? They have signs out for miles. They have huge balloons, right? 50 feet in the air. I mean, they demand attention. So I piggyback off their advertising, right? Now, I don't go block their open house signs with mine. Their open house sign might be here. Mine's just going to be right here. Like they're going to check out this new spec home anyway. There's a good chance they may want to check out some of the resale options in the area. So it's just a smart strategic way of piggybacking off of other people's advertising. I used to do a lot of flyers for my open houses and door hangers, flyers, tons of Facebook ads, and pay all this money to try to drive traffic there. Dude, I don't do any of that anymore, right? Like I just piggyback off of these other people. I don't have to spend the money. Let them spend all the money. Yeah, right? So that's me identifying the right house. Then from there, and let me take a step back. The reason why I like it 7 to 10 days before is, look, I am going to post it on social media, but I'm going to post it in free places, free groups, whatever. Make sure that the MLS is showing that there's an open house this weekend, so it pulls through Zillow, which is important. But most importantly, I want to do it just for my schedule. Like I don't like to be reactive. I don't like to be this Pop-Tart realtor that just pops up every time it needs me. I like to have my life and my schedule planned 7 to 10 days at least ahead of time, so I know what to do. Now I get asked a lot on this. Well, just what happens if the property goes under contract, right? Here's what I recommend and what I do in that situation is I recommend the seller, it's ultimately the seller's choice, but I recommend the seller continue the open house and continue having the open house. And what I tell them during that conversation is, because look, if they just get a contract, we're still in the inspection phase, right? So it's not a done deal by any means yet. There's a lot that can happen. So I just let them know, look, yeah, we haven't accepted offer, we're under contract, we're pending. However, they still have to do their inspection. There's a lot that can happen here. It's not a done deal until it's a done deal. Now, if after this open house, if it's still under contract, we won't plan any more unless it unfortunately falls out of contract, right? But this gives us a chance to get back up offers. Now, when people come in to the open house, I let them know, hey, unfortunately, this home just went under contract. However, it's still in the inspection phase, so who knows how that can go. It's kind of a coin toss in the air. But if this is a house that you're interested in, so go take a look around. Let me give you a quick tour. If this is something you're interested in, before we put it back on the market and open and active on the market, we'll let you know so you can get first opportunity at it. So it creates that exclusivity. And people really like that exclusivity, right? So that's how I move forward with that. All right, so now we're going to talk about setup. All right, so let me first talk about signs. I've just found through testing this, and I get that some areas, like half the cities that we work, have sign restrictions where we can only have one sign per street corner, and now one sign per street corner to me means, well, a street intersection has 4 corners, so I have one on each. Yeah, right. So I mean, I still try to get away with pushing the limits there. But in some sign restriction areas, like, look, I've tried to. I'm always one of these guys that it's easier to ask for forgiveness and permission. I've gotten fined. I've gotten my signs taken, stolen. I mean, it's just shit that happens. So, if you don't want to take on that risk, just follow the law. Follow the law with that. But as much as I possibly can, I'm focusing on areas that don't have sign restrictions so I can plaster them out. Because I found, like, the difference between using 12 signs versus 30 is a massive difference. Look, we got to demand attention. What are people doing when they're driving? They're doing this on their phone. They're flipping through Facebook. They're checking text messages, right? So, like, I want to have, I'll put 12 signs in a row on the main street leading up to that. Like, I demand that attention. So the more signs, the better. I have no problem going out there and putting 60 signs, 100 signs out there. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It takes an hour or so to set them up and set them up right. But I'm going to, because it's so important, 90% of the people that come in say they came in because of the signs. It's such an important element to it. I take the time to slow down and make sure I get that right. All right, so the next thing then is, I've got my signs out there. Then I do 11-foot tall flags. So my signs, just in case you have this question, I get my signs from macdanielsigns.com, Mac, M-A-C, danielsigns.com. I get the steel frame, nicer steel frame signs, right? Like I want to make a good impression. Plus they just grab them on the top, they fold in. I can get them, in my car. I can carry a lot of them. They're easy to carry. They look professional. They're quick and easy to pound out. Like I don't want to have to fucking drill holes or stake things in. Like it's about speed. They're $30 a piece. They're a little bit more expensive. But to me, speed and having the higher quality is worth it. Then as far as the flags, I get these from Vista Flags. So these are just 11-foot tall open house flag, that just say open house vertically on them. And I'll put 3 or 4 in the front yard because I want to demand attention. And this is one of the reasons, really pay attention to this, because this is one of the reasons that we get a lot of sellers from our open houses. Because they're like, shit, I want that. They see us hustling their neighborhood constantly, and they're like, dude, these guys work their ass off. They're not just a typical real estate agent that puts their house on the MLS, snaps some photos, puts a sign in the ground, and gets on their knees and prays their home sell. Like, these guys are out there hustling, right? So we get the flags out there to demand attention. And I really just stole this concept from watching these new build developments. I'm like, man, these guys do it right, man. They like pepper it. I'd go drop by the parking lot and there'd be 20, 30 cars out there. I'm like, these guys are doing it right. What can I learn that they're doing and apply that to mine? And that's just what we've done and where we came up with that. Then from there, I do 2 retractable signs. Right, so we'll have one in the entryway. So the retractable signs are the ones that just go vertical. I get these from banners on thecheap.com. They're like $85 each. The 11-foot tall open house flags are, I think you get like $50 each, right? Now with these, it's $85 a piece, but I only have 2 of them. The first one is in the entryway, right? So before they even open the door, they walk up because this is giving them instructions of what to do. So for example, if you were to go to the dentist, you walk in there, they're like, okay, sign in here, fill out these forms, go sit your ass in the waiting area, and the doctor will be out 45 minutes after your scheduled appointment. Yeah, right? Like, that's not necessarily what they say to you, but you get my point. People are used to being instructed and being led in the areas of their life where they're not the leader, right? There's certain areas in my life where like, I'm going to lead, but then there's certain areas of my life like, I need that person to lead. I'm not a leader with fixing my own teeth, or I'm not a doctor, right? Or whatever it may be. So I'm going to give instructions and let them know what to do. Because you guys, with this process, when I'm doing an open house, I want to focus all my time and energy and attention on building the connection during the tour. I don't want to be sitting there babysitting to get people to sign in. But I need people to sign in with good, accurate information. We get good, accurate information, which you're going to see here in a minute. I mean, we get well over 80% of those walking in to sign in without having them ask, right? Because I don't want to be beggy. It's just not my style, right? But this is because we're instructing them. Subconsciously, they just follow the process. So the retractable banners will say open house at the top. It's got our logo, all that open house, and it has the steps, right? It's like, number 1, come in, or number 1, come in, sign in. Number 2, take a look around. Number 3, fall in love. Number 4, write an offer. Right? And then number 5, it says, if this isn't the home for you, let us know what you're looking for and we'll help you find your dream home, right? And then our contact information at the bottom. So it's just real simple, right? Just real simple, real clean. But but that's before they get to the front door, right? Then on the front door itself, we have a sign. It's a laminated sign that's taped to the front door that says, per seller's request, for security purposes, please sign in. And again, you guys, people go with the flow of traffic. They don't go against the grain, right? And over 80% of our lives, I don't know, the stat might be 95% of our lives, I can't remember the exact stat, but is lived through our subconscious, right? We're not even thinking about the shit that we're doing in most cases. So they're like, okay, hey, we're walking into a stranger's house. We're doing all this stuff. We're just going to follow the instructions, right? So then they open the door. Now, this is now inside the house. Now, 3 feet from the front door, 3 or 4 feet, right? Because I want to make sure that, bam, like they can't get past that sign-in table. So we just get, a cheap card table from Walmart, nice tablecloth on the top of it, another laminated sign. So the same laminated sign that says, per seller's request, for security purposes, please sign in. Now, right next to that table is that same retractable banner. That's where our second one is. Exactly the same. So it's giving them the same instructions. And then we have a paper sign-ins on clipboards. I prefer paper sign-ins and have way more success with paper sign-ins than apps. Problem with apps is, how many iPads are you going to have there? You're going to go invest in 4 or 5 iPads? Because when it rains, it pours at open houses. It's not like you get this constant, consistent flow of a person coming through every, 20, 30 minutes. No, like 4 people, 4 or 5 couples show up at the same time. Right? They're waiting for an app. It creates a bottleneck. People get pissed. They just surpass it or they bail, right? Plus, with the paper sign-ins, and I discovered this on accident, what happened is I forgot new, clean, fresh sign-in sheets. So I had to use the sign-in sheets from the last open house. And there was some information already on them, right? from other people's. I was hoping they didn't pay attention to the dates that were on there, but I noticed at that open house afterwards, I'm like, holy crap, like it was the best open house I ever had with anybody registering and signing in. So then I'm like, boom, it just clicked that again, people go with the flow. They follow. It's like, why do you go on Amazon and read reviews that other people are doing? Or like, let's just say you see something, you're going to put a comment on Facebook, but there's a bunch of other comments. Like most people's tendency is, well, let me check out what the other people are commenting and saying, like to help make sure, like, you know, whatever my response may be. I mean, that's what most people are doing. You may not do that, right? But I'm just saying for the majority out there. So, so what we do now, and what I recommend to do, is get 3 dummy sign-ins, right? So like get 3 of your teammates, 3 agents in the office, make sure it's all different handwriting to fill in contact information, but make it complete. Nice handwriting, full names, cell numbers, emails, fill it out complete. Because what you'll find then, as people walk through, they just do it like everybody else has done. You're instructing them through the process. All right, so that is, so we've talked about thus far, right? Like we've got to get the right house, the right neighborhood. Then from there, I got to get people to the open house. Right? Got to get them walking in that front door. Then I got to get them registering so they become a lead, right? If they didn't fill out their name and information, they're not a lead. That's just a human being that you're investing some time in. That's not a lead, right? I want them to become a lead. So then now they're a lead. Now what do we do with leads? We convert leads. That's our job. Yeah, right? So no different if I get a Facebook lead, that's a lead in my system. Now I got to do the same thing. Develop the connection, get to know me, like me, trust me through follow up some phone calls, right? Set an appointment, bam. So it's the same process. So then from there, I'm focusing on the tour. Now during the tour, I'm not like, oh, well, here's the bathroom, here's the bedroom, here's the kitchen. Like they can see it's a kitchen. They don't need us to fucking be like, here's the kitchen. Now I'll look, for 2 or 3 main cool key features of the home that maybe they would miss. You know, right? And kind of point those out. So it's not like I'm still leading the tour, but I'm focusing all my time, energy, and attention into developing the connection with them. So I've also, over the years, just learned through testing and doing thousands of open houses now, the right questions to ask. Yeah, right? So I always lead with asking them. I never ask, oh, what brings you in today? Like they're looking at an open house. Duh. Like I'm not going to ask questions that I already know the answer to. So I always lead with, what is it about the area that you like so much? That's going to lead them into saying, our kids go to school in the area and we want to be closer to their schools. Oh, well, great. That's awesome. What school do your kids go to? How many kids do you have? What are their ages, right? Like, what are their names? Like, whatever. Like, it leads me into, because that's what it's all about. It's about connecting with them, being interested in them. It's all, I'm really just following Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is the Ford analogy, right? Find out about their family, occupation, recreation, and then their dreams, right? So I want to find out about those things, right? So, or the other question, or the other answer will be, I want to be closer to work and I work nearby. Oh, well, great. Where do you work? Oh, I work at Honeywell. Oh, what do you do? I'm an engineer. Well, what do you engineer? What department? Oh, I design, whatever they do. Oh, cool. Right? Like it gives me a chance to learn more about them and get interested in them, right? Because people don't like us because we think we're cool. They like us because of how we make them feel. And when you're interested in them, it makes them feel good. It makes them feel special. And I'm not saying to go out there and just be interested in people to manipulate and take advantage of them. No, you should truly be interested in other people. It doesn't mean you got to be interested in that same thing that they're interested in. Like a lot of times I have conversations with people and have great conversations, and I'm not interested in their hobby, but I'm interested in what makes them tick. Like I love to find out what people are passionate about and why they're passionate about it and how they tap into that passion. I love seeing people's passion, right? So I don't have to have, like they may love sports. I could give 2 shits about sports, right? But I want to know more about that, right? With them. So I'm trying for recreation, I always ask, you got any big plans this weekend, right? And if they're like, no, just kind of lazing around, okay, cool. In the area, like, what do you typically do for fun? Like, what do you guys typically go out there and do? When you're not just chilling, relaxing, which is good. Sometimes we need that, but I'll say, like, what are some of your favorite things to do out here? I want to find out about that, right? So then as I'm developing that connection, when the tour ends, now this is step number 5 now that we're getting ready to go into. So we're almost done here. So now that the tour's in, I got to ask for the appointment. All that shit can happen. Everything we just talked about. And if you don't get the appointments, dude, you're not going to have success. You've got to ask. Ask and you shall receive, as the good book says, right? So as the tour ends, I just ask them very simply, what do you think of this house? Does it meet your need? Does it meet? What do you think of this what do you think of the home? Does it meet your needs, or are you looking for something different? In most cases, 99% of the cases or more, they're like, we need an extra bedroom. We need this. We're looking for something here, right? Then I follow up with, hey, just so you know, my main reason of doing this open house isn't to sell you this particular house. Now, if this house worked for you and you love this house, then great, right? I'd be able to help you with that process. But my main reason for doing the open house is to meet buyers like yourself, people that are looking to buy in this area, which I specialize in and know better than anybody out there, find out what your needs are, what your goals are, and help you make sure those goals become accomplished. So then from there, it's, hey, and I get out of here at 4 o'clock today. I can, after I get done at 4, can meet you back at the office at 5, and we can go out and look at a few homes based on what you've told me, because at this point, hopefully I know what they're looking for, right? I know of a few homes in the area that I think will be perfect for you, right? So does that work for you? Now, I know I'm going to get 5 no's on average before I get my 1 yes. That's just a lot of averages. Sometimes it doesn't always work with that with every single person, of course. Sometimes you get the yes the first time. Sometimes you never get a yes, right? But on average, you're going to get rejected by the same person 5 times before you get a yes. So I'm not expecting them to say yes. But if I get 60 people through there, I'm going to get some yeses, right? But I'm just trying to get the no's out of the way as quick as possible, right? Oh, no, we can't meet up today. We got plans, right? Like I'm asking them on a Saturday to meet that same day. Right? Oh, hey, no worries. I know it's short notice. What about tomorrow? I got some availability tomorrow. Do you want to go spend an hour or two and check out a few homes tomorrow? Right? Now, at this point, we've already developed the connection. Hopefully, they're comfortable with me. They're seeing that I'm not high pressure, right? In that case, if it's it's either going to be a yes or no. And if it's a no, hey, no worries. Here's what I'll do. As soon as I get done here and get back to my office this evening, I'll email you a list of the properties that I think that will meet your needs. And then I'll just check in with you early next week, see if I'm going down the right track, see if you have any questions, and if you want to take a look at them, you can let me know, and if you don't, that's okay too. Sound cool? Sound fair? They always say yes to that, and I always use that language, sound fair. I learned that from Chris Voss, #1 FBI hostage negotiator on the planet for 20 years, who wrote Never Split the Difference, who I had on the GSD Mo podcast. Go check out that podcast interview because that's pretty freaking epic. But so does that sound fair? Yes. Right? Okay. Well, let me just confirm your email. Right? Okay. Hey, and just in case if I have any issues getting this to you, or if I have any other follow-up questions to you, let me confirm your cell. Is this the right cell? Right? Like people, you can usually catch if it's dummy information at that point, because people that I've connected with that have toured, like those are hot leads at this point. Right? I need to make sure I got that good contact information. So I vet that, verify it, then I follow up. Right? So step number 6 is now your follow-up process. So my follow-up process, as soon as the open house is done, I do a selfie video in the open house. So I want to make it like in the kitchen or an area that they're going to recognize. And that's just going to be, and I do it personalized for every single person. It may take 20 minutes depending on the traffic I've coming through, because these are just like 30-second videos, right? But take the time to do this. This will separate you. Everybody's just trying to do the quick, everybody's so focused on efficiency today. And I'm all about efficiency, but as long as it doesn't sacrifice effectiveness. I'm looking at effectiveness and efficiency, but effectiveness is number 1. I want to be as effective, then I will try to get it as efficient as possible, right? So I'm not going to do a blanket message. I've done that. I used to do that. I tried the same shit, just found it to not be as effective, right? It'd be, hey, Joshua Smith, or hey, Brad and April, Joshua Smith here at my home group. Met you today at the open house at 123 West Main Street. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy weekend to come check out this open house, and it's so great meeting you. Now, if I can remember a personal thing about them, I might say that. It's great hearing about you, and I hope you have fun with your doing this weekend based on what their plans are. If you have any questions, this is my personal cell. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. That's all it is. It's not like an ask. I'm not trying to set an appointment with there. I'm just trying to further the relationship. Every interaction exists to set the next interaction. Then I'm going to go back to the office that same day, because if I don't do it that same day, I'm not going to fucking do it. I'm going to forget. I'm going to waste. Again, this is going to be a wasted opportunity, wasted time, right? So I'm going to go back to the office, enter everybody in my CRM. I put them on my 1,000-day open house buyer or seller email and text automated drip floor text plan that automatically goes out that I have in my Perfect Storm CRM. Then I set them up on a daily property alert search. So it's based on what they told me they want in the open house. And if they didn't tell me, if I didn't have a chance to talk to them, because I can't tour everybody, and that's okay. Like don't worry about that. You can't get them all. I set everybody up on, if I haven't talked to them knowing what they want, I set them up on homes similar to that home. Yeah, right? So if it's a 2,500 square foot home with a pool in this subdivision and it's $325,000, I might be like 2,000 to 3,000 square feet homes with pools and that zip code, between 275 and 400,000. Like kind of a general range. Start sending those, right? Then I put them on my year-long call tasking call plan that tasks me. It's going to task me on Monday to call them. Then every other day for the first 21 days, for the first 14 days. So that's 7 reach outs in the first 14 days. And the reason I do so many of those is because people aren't answering their phones today. So once they answer the phone, right, then that will determine if I continue following up with them, how I'm going to follow up with them. Then it goes every 21 days for the first year. And that call plan exists to just get clear on their goals, get clear on their time frame. Then based on their goals and their time frame, that dictates what my follow-up process is from there. So that's my follow-up process. Now you guys got to understand, it's like a 3-legged stool. You take one leg out, it collapses. All 6 of these steps are crucial. And this is why you hear people that are like, oh, open houses don't work in my market. What do? Right? They go I'm going to do this open house because it's my listing and I'm going to do it. Or an agent in the office sends a blast out that they have a property that agents could do an open house on. So they're not intentional about identifying the right property. They probably show up 15 minutes before, set up 12 signs, set up their sign-up sheets if they have any in the kitchen, right, which is idiotic to do. They're not doing tours. Oh, yeah, go take a look around, right? Dumb thing to do again. They're not touring. They're not asking for the appointment. They're not following up. No wonder they're shitty. Right? It's like me going to the gym, but then when I'm in there working out completely wrong, stuffing my face with donuts when I'm outside of there, right? And just like not doing the right shit, but expecting it becomes delusional, right, with it. So if you follow the right process, it will work for you. And again, I hope you guys found this helpful. Like I said a moment ago, if you're on YouTube, or watching this on YouTube, or if you have questions, and maybe you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever, if you have questions for me, jump on YouTube, look up this video on YouTube, and just put as a comment, put your questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions because I know this is a longer video, but I know I covered this stuff pretty fast. So you might have some questions. I'm happy to answer any questions. And if you have, hey Josh, where do you get these resources? Whatever, just hit me up. I'm happy to help. I check those out every single day. Again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to leave a 5-star review if you're listening on audio. Also, real quick, make sure to check us out at gsdmode.com where you can check out a ton more great information just like this video today, as well as our weekly leveling up mindset tips, podcast interviews, tons of free resources, tools to help you. Everything's free on there to help you grow your real estate business. Also check out growmyrealestatebusiness.com, which is a free, in-depth, hardcore 3-hour masterclass where essentially I'm breaking down my top lessons learned, like the top pieces, best piece of advice that I could break down after my 14 years of experience to become one of the top real estate agents on the planet. All the highest level things that I know. And that's why it's 3 hours, right? Like we go in depth. I want to make sure that you learn what you need to learn on that during that experience, but also give you instructions and break down and give you the resources of what to do the second the training is over so you can start implementing that stuff to have results on it. Because if you spend 3 hours of your life watching content, but you're not taking action on it or don't know what actions to take, you just wasted those 3 fucking hours. I'm not going to hear, like, you waste my time, probably not going to talk to you again, right? Like, I'm not going to waste your time, right? I respect you and your time. So check out growmyrealestatebusiness.com. Also, make sure to join our private Facebook group, the GSD Mode Podcast Real Estate Mastermind Facebook group. We'll have a link below to all this stuff, but that is a free group. We have about 12, 13,000 people in there, at least as the time of me creating this video. There's zero selling happening in that group. Just like the other resources I gave you guys, it's all free. I'm not here to try to sell you a bunch of shit, right? I'm a real estate agent, team leader just like you, and I hate being sold constantly all the time too. It's one of the reasons I started this podcast, to give great information. Well, we could just go get great information without trying to be upsold fucking tickets to a conference and all this bullshit, right? So that we have a very strict no selling policy. Anybody even tries to promote in there, they're deleted. Like no warnings, they're deleted, removed. There's zero tolerance for that. So make sure to check that out as well too. Gives you a chance to mastermind with other like-minded people out there trying to level up and grow in their real estate business. Thank you so much for watching. Keep kicking ass. Hopefully you found this valuable. And I'll see you in the next real estate tip. Peace.